Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episodes 13 and on of Amphibia Season 2. So, once again, we are just going to take it as it goes. I think that's going to kind of be the way we're handling this series now, at least for the time being. We're just going to kind of take it as it goes and really handle it as a whatever we get to this week situation. So, yeah, I don't know how many episodes we're going to end up getting to, but last time we returned to Wartwood. We had the Chickalisk, which I am just still in love with. Like, seriously, I've watched that episode a couple more times after the first reaction. I just watched even just that scene, that part of the episode, more times, and it's just like, I'm just so in love with that. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Like, I don't know what it is about it exactly. If it's just the combination of everything, the badass entrance music, the absolutely phenomenal humor. Like, I think it's genuinely some of my favorite humor in this series. I'm not even kidding you. The way everyone handles it, just everything combined, I think really works to make it just super funny, super entertaining, super badass and cool. It's just like, it's the perfect storm of just awesomeness. And I really get into it. It's just, I really love it. You have no idea. The episode as a whole I really enjoyed too, but specifically the portion of it with the Chickalisk in it was the highlight. We also got the Halloween episode last time as well, though, with George Takei in it, which was a really fun cameo. And I did recognize him. I did recognize him, even if I wasn't sure it was him at first. I was questioning it. I wasn't 100% confident, but it's like, I did recognize the voice nonetheless. And yeah, it's like, even for a non-canon episode that was just a bunch of stories and then Polly ending up turning into a werewolf in the end, it's like, it was fun. It was fun. It was nice. Nothing too spectacular, but I had no issue with it. But now we get back to the main story, and there's 20 episodes in the season, so we are kind of going to be just really going into the second half now. Like, you could kind of say that's already started and everything, but we're like really going to be going into it now. We've returned to Wartwood. We've got all of that handled. Now we can just settle into that. So that's going to be interesting to see how quick it comes along, to see if we're going to do any more in Wartwood first, or if we're going to go kind of into the big stuff with the box and everything. Excuse me. But yeah, there's a lot of questions I still have. I still don't trust the king, especially since the last we saw of him, he was wanting to speak with Marcy, and I don't know. I don't trust him at all. I really don't. He's just so fucking ominous, considering the first scene we see him in is so fucking ominous. So it's like, you just can't trust him after that, no matter how he acts. Even as goofy as he tends to be. There's also other characters we haven't seen for a bit. We haven't seen Sasha and Grime. We haven't seen Yunnan. So there's plenty of stuff to catch up on in that regard, too. I don't know how many other characters we're going to see return, but we also have to address that robot that is following them still. We can't just ignore that. That's kind of still a thing. There's quite a bit to get done in these last episodes. These 8 episodes, because 7 episodes after this, plus this episode. So I'm just really excited, and I think I haven't mentioned this in a couple reactions, but it's still wild to me, and it's probably always going to remain wild to me at this point. The fact that I am excited about this, the fact that I'm really into it now. Like it's not just that I turned around on it. It's not just that I'm a fan of it now. It's like I'm really into it now. Again, nowhere near as much as something like Owl House or whatnot, but the fact that I'm really into this, the fact that I'm really excited about it, I've looked up fan art and stuff while trying to avoid spoilers, of course. I was very, very, very precise with my keywords. The fact that I am so insistent on avoiding spoilers now, much more so than before. The fact that I'm super excited about certain characters like Yunnan and Priscilla and whatnot, and just the lore as well. I even found something out recently, on Twitter, and it's not a major spoiler because it's not revealed in the series or anything. It's revealed, I guess, in a guidebook that's released. You know how like they released the journal after Gravity Falls that had like some extra info in it and just kind of expanded on the world with stuff that they weren't able to get into the actual series. That's kind of what we have here. And yeah, I found out just a piece of info that, thinking about it, is kind of pointless. It's really not anything that matters at all, but it's a fun little detail, and I've seen a lot of people like theorize on how it could have been taken, like through the characters and all. Marcy's middle name was revealed. Regina. Marcy Regina Wu. And a lot of people are like joking around like, oh, Anne and Sasha totally made fun of her for that, didn't they? And it's like, I could kind of see that, but I could also maybe not. I don't know. But it's like just this random little bit of information. It doesn't affect anything. It's not a big spoiler for the series or anything, so I'm not worried that I found that out. Just a random little bit of information. But yeah. Either way, I'm interested to see what more they do with this going forward. Like, for example, just how long is it going to be until the Calamity Box works? And will it be able to send them home? That's a big question, too. Or will something else happen with it? It's difficult to know where this is going to go. As I've said before, I do know a couple spoilers, but they're entirely out of context. I don't know the context behind them or the details or anything. I just know a couple of things because they're things that I saw when they first aired. They were everywhere. And at that time, I wasn't like going to necessarily get back into this series, so I wasn't like trying super heavily to avoid spoilers. But again, I don't know the context, I don't know the details, I just know a couple small specific things here and there. Excuse me. But, like I said, even with knowing those couple things, without knowing the details, I'm still very excited to see how they come into play with the context. And I'm excited to see what else happens in the first place, because I know still very little overall. So I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts on where you think this is all going. Obviously, if you know spoilers, don't tell me anything that you know in that regard. But if you don't know spoilers, I would like to hear your thoughts on where you think this is going, or where you think it could go, or whatnot, or what you think of my thoughts would probably be safer. But either way, I do want to begin this. I do want to get into however many episodes we're going to end up doing today. So let's just do so. Once again, we will go until I feel I am good to stop. Until I feel like it's either a good time to stop or I just don't want to get to any more today. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after fades black and fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode or episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So first off, before anything, I want to mention real quick, because I just found this funny. I just realized after I was getting ready to start this, after I had already done the reaction, I just realized that episode 14 here was double length. It was full length, like only one segment in the episode. I somehow it didn't click with me at all during the reaction. But let's talk about these. So starting with episode 13 segments. Ivy on the Run, I have issues with. Like, I believe I've made it clear before, and I want to make it clear again here. Although I have issues with Sprig and Ivy as a couple, I don't dislike Ivy as a character. She's not my favorite character, but I don't dislike her. The issue here is more with her mother, Felicia. And the fact that this episode takes what is, in my eyes, very straightforward and just makes it tropey. It's like this. Ivy wants to hang out with Sprig. Felicia's constantly making her do chores and being very precise about it. She's overbearing as hell, is nitpicking about the tiniest little details, and it's ridiculous. To the point where Ivy's anger and frustration with it all is not only warranted, but it would be weird if she wasn't. It would be absolutely unnatural if she wasn't upset by that. So, the entire reveal at the end that it was Felicia's way of teaching Ivy martial arts in some Karate Kid-esque way, while at the same time preparing her for when she was going to take her out on a dangerous journey, it's so fucking dumb. Like, the concept of that is like a trope in and of itself. Oh, the kid gets upset because they're doing chores and it's revealed the chores are actually martial arts. It's fucking Karate Kid. And this has been parodied in a lot of things, and it's become its own trope in a way. And it's not a great trope as it is. It's super bland. Like, it works in Karate Kid. But the problem is everyone else using it kind of takes away from the, you know, how good of a trope it can be. It worked because it was something special to the Karate Kid itself. By having it constantly be parodied and used in other media, it invalidates that and makes it just boring. And the problem is they don't do anything new with it here. It's as by the numbers as you can get. The biggest problem is that from the perspective of what we can see, the way it's handled here, Ivy is entirely in the right. the for this trope to work, the kid who gets angry at their mentor or parent figure or whatever for doing this has to be somewhat in the wrong. They have to be overreacting, and you have to be able to see a way as to how this can help. With the Karate Kid, it's made very obvious right from the start that doing these chores is going to help him. That Daniel is going to grow through these chores. Now, you don't necessarily know that the chores are exactly going to be the moves for karate that he's learning, but you could tell it's going to help him learn karate overall. The problem is, it's not the same here. Especially because of the precision. The fact that Felicia wants it to be so perfectly precise is overbearing as hell, and just it doesn't work. It comes across as she's being annoyingly overbearing rather than, trying to teach Ivy anything. The fact that it's revealed in the end that it is just a training method to learn martial arts is actually kind of stupid. It comes out of nowhere, makes no sense. And there's better ways to have gotten across the idea that Ivy needed to be patient about things. I don't think it worked in the way it was written. I don't think it was properly handled. Because again, from the perspective of the viewer, Ivy was entirely in the right to be angry. And I don't blame her for a second for trying to run away. I think that a better way to have this have been done is take out the entire Karate Kid bullshit. To just take that out. That's not needed. Instead, have it focus on the entire Muay Thai thing with Anne. Maybe have Anne teaching Ivy. And maybe Ivy is doing what Polly was doing and having the issue with patience. That would be a better way to show a lesson on patience with Ivy. Instead, it just didn't work well. It came across as improperly handled and improperly balanced with the characters and who was supposed to be in the right and wrong. So I couldn't vibe with this episode. I'm sorry, but I couldn't. Or this segment of the episode. The second segment of episode 13, though, is called After the Rain. And this one has a lot of promise to it, but also kind of falls just a little short for me. It's better than Ivy on the Run, but there's issues with it that I feel would have been fixed if it had its own full episode. I feel like having it split with Ivy on the Run hurt it, because it felt rushed. Basically, Marcy sends a message saying she's going to be on her way. Anne catches Hop Pop looking for the Calamity Box, and she finds out that he had been hiding it. She gets angry at him, runs away. He goes to find her. Sprig and Polly had been looking for the Calamity Box. They find where it is. And yeah, all of everything's going on. They eventually reunite, find out why Hop Hop did what he did, and they forgive each other. Everything seems fine until you kind of realize that it's excessively rushed. I apologize for that. Male person's here. Until you realize that it's excessively rushed and needed a lot more time to work properly. And getting angry at Hop Hop, like, that's perfectly reasonable. But them, like, you know, apologizing and everything happened way too quickly. It happened way too quickly. It was way too easy. And it just, there needed to be more time there. Also, for this being such a big, important segment, with having, the reveal of Hop Pop's lie of hiding the Calamity Box and everything, there needed to be more time for that. It needed to have a lot more time to really stew and everything. It didn't work in the time that it was given. The magpie beetle thing was completely needless. It was just some random bullshit that was added in for the sake of having some kind of insect enemy, I guess. It felt completely out of place and unnecessary. And the entire thing with the reveal about Sprig and Polly's parents having been killed by herons, we get like follow up from before with Sprig's discussion with Anne and everything in Newtopia. I did not get emotional at this. I think you might have noticed that I really wasn't getting that emotional. Definitely not as much as I did with the Mother Talk episode. And the reason for that is because this wasn't that well done. With the previous episode, the Hopping Mall one, I think it was called, the pacing of that scene, the visual setup, the soundtrack that was playing, everything worked together to amplify the emotion and build it as something important, emotional, deep, and painful. We didn't get that here. There was no amazing visual representation of that. The soundtrack was just kind of boring. The voice acting was even just not that good, comparatively. It was so weakly done. Like, I know the other episode is like the big reveal that Sprig and Polly's, mother is gone and everything. It's this big first reveal, and this one's just kind of following up on that and giving us more information, but we're getting it also from a different perspective, from Hop Pop, someone who's, as we see in this, is blaming himself and has been making decisions that are clearly wrong based on it. This should have definitely had a lot more emotion, should have definitely been a lot more intense. The fact that it was so weakly handled just feels wrong to me. And again, everything was just rushed. It went by too quickly. It didn't give us enough time to focus on anything. I feel After the Rain needed to be a single segment episode. Again, by sharing the episode with another segment, it doesn't work. And then we have the first temple, episode 14. And this episode had one problem with it. And I'm going to get to that right off the bat because I want to mention it. Anne and Hop Pop's arguing. In the previous episode, in After the Rain, Anne and Hop Pop fully forgave each other. It was very clear that their issue was not there anymore. It's not even a thing like, oh, they forgave each other, but then they really started to like maybe slip back into it. No, it was very obvious their issue was completely forgiven and that they had no issue with each other anymore, that it was water under the bridge. So by having their issue reform, I guess you could say, in this episode, in the first temple, felt completely disingenuous. It felt unbelievable, like literally not believable. I just for a second did not believe that they would still be fighting. And to the degree that they were, especially. It felt so unnatural, it felt so wrong, and it just felt like a lack of continuity. to have them go from complete forgiveness to suddenly just not having forgiven. But that's my only real issue with this episode. The rest of it was really good. It was really exciting. So let's talk about it. So Marcy arrives, and she and the planters head out to go to the first temple. The first temple's full of puzzles. Perfect for Marcy. So they go in, they start to handle the puzzles, and we get this entire thing about Marcy kind of hyper-fixating and getting lost in the zone, not really paying attention to her surroundings. So they get past the first puzzles, listening to Marcy pretty easily. Like, Marcy knows exactly how to handle them. The first couple puzzles are nothing. But then they get to the third puzzle, and it's basically chess. It's not exactly chess, it's the Amphibia equivalent, but it's basically chess. So Marcy has to take on the temple itself. And when setting up the board, the temple kidnaps all of her friends, the planters and Anne, and forces them onto a giant version of the board in order to kind of join in the game. And obviously, this is a reference to the entire wizard chess scene in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That's so blatantly obvious. It's not funny. But yeah, so Marcy plays the temple, and it turns out the temple's a big fat cheater. So while her friends are trapped in the stone statues, I guess you could say, just the stone piece, the giant stone pieces, their lives and just general safety are put in notable danger. And so Marcy decides, after realizing that her friends are in danger, she decides to just give up. She decides to quit the game to forfeit, but in order to do so, she has to flip her toad, or frog, or whatever. So with some help, she does so, and the challenge seems to end. They basically admit defeat, and Marcy acknowledges that she probably won't be able to go back in there again because she failed. But they're led to this outhouse outside where it's revealed, oh, this isn't an outhouse, it's where you charge a stone. Everything worked out, and in the end, you choosing to put your friends before your puzzle knowledge is what earned you the right. It wasn't about just intelligence, but humility as well. And it's like, okay, I can dig that. I can get behind that. They charge a stone. Apparently the stone's going to lead them to the next temple. All seems to be good. Marcy was great in this episode. There was a lot of awesome puzzle stuff. I really enjoyed the creativity behind all of that. But again, the entire thing with Anne and Hop Pop continuing to fight was stupid and continuity breaking. It just felt like it made no sense to have that after the forgiveness. I feel if they wanted to have these two continuing to fight during this episode, then Hop Pop's explanation of why he did it, as well as him apologizing so heavily, should have happened at the end of this episode. Because him apologizing and explaining himself and Anne forgiving him, it doesn't work if the very next episode you're just going to have them fighting again. It just does not make sense at all. It was not a good writing decision. It wasn't. But then we get the very end of the first temple. And definitely the highlight of the episode. And I'd say the highlight of these couple episodes in total. My fears are fucking confirmed. I feel so fucking validated. Like, oh my god. I'm 100% in the right here. Also, Before we get to that, though, General Yunnan is back. Yay. I don't... I don't know what I expected with her return, but I wasn't expecting necessarily just this short little, I guess you could almost say, cameo in this episode. She didn't even do much. She wasn't even as over the top as she was before in this one. Because, again, there just wasn't much to it. There wasn't enough time. But just the instant I saw her, the instant she popped up on screen, I got, like, giddy. It's like, it was just this pure dose of joy to my brain. It's just... I'm just so happy to see her again. She's such a likable character, just from that first appearance, that first episode she was in. She's just so fucking likable, so entertaining, so fun. It's just like, I just want to see her more and more. But, she's reporting to the king on everything going on when he gets a message from Marcy that First Temple was a success. And then shit goes down. He dismisses Yunnan and goes down into the basement. A different part of it we had seen that from before. Though we do still get to see the weird ghost things. Those are back. He goes down there and reports to his master, apparently. And he's like, oh yeah, everything's on schedule. Everything's going well. We're gonna get our revenge. What the fuck? It's like, color me excited. Because I was fucking right. I said we could not trust him. I mean, it was blatantly fucking obvious based on his very first appearance. But it's like, oh my god. Even though it was so obvious, I feel so fucking validated. Because it's like, for all this time, it's like, it just keeps portraying him as this happy-go-lucky guy. Even right there, with it's just him and Yunnan, he's still portrayed this way. There's no hints of anything else. And I'm starting to, like, just wonder how long this is going to take because it's so fucking obvious. Oh my god. And now now it's not even a matter of, oh, he can't be trusted. No, it's a matter of, this dude's the fucking bad guy. And whoever his master is the true big bad, clearly. And it's just like, oh my god. Oh my god. And I say I feel so excited because it's like, this is big shit. Like, this is the level of seeing the Collector for the first time in the Owl House in the Owl Beast's dream. Like, you are being given a glimpse at the end game of this series here. I am without question on board that this is a glimpse at the end game of Amphibia. And based on this thing's appearance, this master, I have no fucking clue what the getting revenge thing is about. But I think I know what the appearance is. As I said in the pre-thoughts, there are a couple things I know. I don't know the context behind them. I don't know the details. I just know of them, basically. So I'm just going to say, without like any spoilers or anything, I think I know what this... I think I know some way that this master connects to the future, just based on its appearance. I don't know, again, I don't know any details or anything like that. I just think I know a way it connects to the future of the series. But without knowing the details, I can't say for sure. But the appearance, it's gotta be. And I'm sure those of you who know the entire rest of the series understand what I'm probably talking about. But don't say anything in the comments or anything, because I don't want to be spoiled on any context I don't have. And I don't want anyone else to possibly be spoiled if they are watching this along with me. Um, but yeah, so that was definitely the most exciting and just generally best part of these episodes. This was not the best set, if I'm being completely honest. Again, Ivy on the Run just it kind of annoyed me and just handled things, in my opinion, wrong in terms of how to do this kind of trope and just in terms of its own presentation. After the Rain, it was too short. It needed to be extended because it was rushed. And it just didn't feel like they gave enough time to make it work, to make it fit, to make it just be handled properly. It just felt like everything was just kind of like bulleted through without any care put into it. And then the first temple, the only issue I had was with how they portrayed Anne and Hop Hop, still having an issue in this. Everything else was great. Marcy was fantastic. The bird flirting with, like, what the fuck was that? What? I have so many fucking questions about that. Like, how would that even work? Oh my god, how would that work? Oh my god, now I'm thinking of little like half bird, half snail babies, and I don't know what to. Oh my god, I'm making myself very uncomfortable just thinking about that. Like, what the fuck was that? Why? Why was that in there? What? I'm so confused. I am so genuinely confused. I know it was most likely just this one-off joke, um, but what the actual fuck? It caught me so fucking off guard. I was not expecting the fucking bird to start flirting with. Oh my god. And I think that's where we end this these afterthoughts. Um, I don't think there's really anywhere I can go from there. Um, I don't even want to think about how that would work from a biology anatomy standpoint. How would they make babies? How would how would how would the bird how would I'm making myself super uncomfy just thinking about how these two animals would have sex. Why is this show making me think about how a bird and a snail would have sex? What is happening? This is the fucking weirdest and most off-putting one-off joke I think I've seen in this series. Oh my god. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it wasn't funny or anything. I'm just saying it's like so uncomfortable and shocking, and I don't like the things it's making me think about. Um, but either way, like I said, tell me what you thought about these episodes in the comments below. As always, no spoilers. I already know more than I would like to. Again, I don't know details or anything. I just know about certain things existing. And I don't want to know details, and I don't want to know anything else if I can help it about the future. I want to remain as spoiler free on this series as I can because while this might not have been my favorite set of episodes overall, mostly because of the first one there, episode 13, I still enjoyed it, and I'm still very much a fan of this series at this point. But like I said, no spoilers, all of that jazz. I need to watch something else to get my mind off of these thoughts. So for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See ya next time. Yeah.